Right, NFC Championship. We got the Lions against the Niners. It's going to be a fun game. So San Francisco is favored by 7. I'm going to take Detroit. So the model, it's got a little bit of conflict here, as most of the good games are gonna. So as it gives a slight advantage up here to San Francisco, a 55% chance, which comes out to about a 1 to 1.5 point spread. When I come over here to the right, the box plot, again, is it pretty much says about the same thing. Raw numbers, a 1 to 2 point game. Then when I look at the confidence intervals, it does not resolve it. It says that they're overlapping. Okay. The Bayesian adjustment says, well, hey, you've been pretty much right on when it comes to, well, let me phrase it. Says that you've been underestimating San Francisco, but really that -10 is like that's pretty darn close for the total point differential over the year. And it says it's been overestimating Detroit by about 40 points. So realistically, that's how it came up with that moderate. Again, the moderate just says, yeah, there's some disparity. No model is going to be perfect. So far in the postseason, for the most part, the raw numbers have been pretty accurate. I'm going to go ahead and stick to them. When I look at the just the way that the matchup works out, I would not be surprised. I think part of this too is people look at it and say, like the home field advantage. I'm not really, especially after I saw how Brock Purdy played this last weekend. I'm not sure he likes playing in the wet weather. So we'll see. But when I come over here, you see both of these teams are strong. Both of these teams are in the top 10 in 3 of the 4 categories. The Lions seem to struggle against the pass on defense. San Francisco is a bit stronger as we come over here, in that they got 3 of the top 4 areas, and they're pretty darn good when it comes to that rush defense. But let's go ahead and take a look at the some of the numbers over here, some performance numbers. So the model is showing a slight advantage over here for Detroit when it comes to the rushing, and then about the same when it comes to the passing. So both these teams, I think, have similar game plans with the way that they play. Overall, when you look at the weapons, you can't argue that San Francisco, when it comes to George Kittle, McCaffrey, just they just have a lot of weapons. I think the weakness is Brock Purdy getting it to him. He's looked pretty good this year, but he's had some really poor games as well, which can definitely be concerning. Meanwhile, I think just from a watching the game perspective, I think Detroit has been more consistent in that regard, even though they don't have some of those offensive weapons that San Francisco has. Deebo Samuel was the other person I was thinking of. Sorry about that. Yet at the same time, those, Deebo Samuel, McCaffrey, George Kittle, and God knows who the hell else I have, because they've got just an entire cabinet full of guys who can run with the football. But the weakness seems to be Brock Purdy getting it to him, and he's had some pretty atrocious games this year as well. So then we come over here to the right, just as you were talking about all those offensive weapons, you got a lot of explosion going on here. Really high numbers over here. But when you look at it, Detroit isn't that far behind them. Detroit looks like they got to work on some of that protecting the football. So remember, this also takes into consideration fumbles forced by the defense. Certainly, San Francisco's got a fantastic defense as well. They're going to be pressuring the football when it comes to getting fumbles. They're going to be pressuring to get interceptions. Both of these teams are sitting at the same place. Brock Purdy floats a lot of them out there, and that's what this is showing as well. But nothing too crazy when it comes to those. Both of these teams are going against good pass rushing defenses, so you're certainly going to, I would expect to see some sacks. And anytime you have one of the Bosa guys out there, you're probably going to have one of these high numbers out here, which is what we're seeing. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. They're just saying, hey, Nick Bosa gets hot, and he might get 4 sacks all on his own, in which case it opens up for everyone else. So that's going to be a blast to watch. Then we come over here to the left. So this is how the defenses have been doing. So remember, the league average is about 24 points. And the the Detroit offense, they're averaging well above that. And then likewise, this is probably, they're holding their opponents at league average, Meanwhile, when we come over here to San Francisco, it's showing that they're scoring about the same over here as compared to that league average. But then their defense, and this is where the defense is going to. If San Francisco's defense holds up, uh, this this should be a close game. It really should be a close game. That 1 to 2 point, I would not be surprised if San Francisco wins, but I think it is going to be less than a field goal. I don't buy that 7 point spread. Should be close. And then from the subjective side, which I don't normally bring to this conversation, but when you look at it, when you look at the subjective, Dan Campbell and that team, they just bring an intensity that I just haven't seen from a coach since Mike Ditka, which is saying a lot. The fire and passion that team has right now, it's palpable, and I think they're feeling it. And once a team gets on a roll like that, and they've got some of those players, and they have an attitude, and they're playing like they have an attitude, is it can make all the difference in the world. So anyhow, it's gonna be a great weekend of football. I hope everyone gets a chance to watch it. If you like what you listen to, click like and subscribe. And if you got any questions or comments, drop me a note. Thank you.